Hi and welcome to this little video looking to see if we can still get a good locomotive for less than £100 new in 2021. So this has been inspired by Dave over at Dean Park Station, who used the word selective to describe the way increasingly that more of us are looking at purchases for a railway. And at £200 for a locomotive now, really for that money it has to be something we really want, or something that's heavily discounted. And looking at my purchases for the year so far, I've only made 14 purchases in total, and that's for locos and rolling stock. And 5 of those purchases were locomotives that cost less than £100 new. So cheap is only a bargain if it is something that we get enjoyment from. But at less than £100, I'm much more willing to take a punt on something that I'm not sure about or might not be my era, if I think it's going to be a good model. So did these 5 purchases turn out to be bargains? Let's have a look at what I got. So I'm going to present them in the order that I bought them. So the first purchase of the year was the Hornby Pekket B2 in Sherwood colliery livery. Now industrial locos really aren't my thing, and I would not have bought this had it not been cheap. And had I not been reading the reviews in which you picked up that there was a real buzz about these locomotives. So the Model Centre, TMC, had a January sale and this was going for £82, and I took a punt. And as soon as I opened the box, I just fell in love with this little loco. There's no review captures just how small and how cute this little locomotive is. But it also doesn't capture the sheer feeling of quality about it either. It's pretty much all metal, so that's a running plate and the boiler. The beautifully detailed paintwork's immaculate, but it's the weight, just the feeling of pure quality about it. Lovely runner as well. It's geared to run smoothly at slow speeds, and it does a really good job of that. And despite me not really being into industrial locos, I have found a role for it on the layout. So it's going to be the Steelworks locomotive that runs errands on the network. So it runs little errands for the Steelworks on the network. And it just doesn't look out of place at all. It's just such a lovely little runner. Absolute bargain. So the next purchase then was a Bachmann 4MT 264 tank, and this was more of a planned purchase. I like the look of the Riddle standers, and they were also used in the lines round about Hamilton Central. But one of my dislikes about the modern hobby is that it's very easy to miss out on getting stock. So if you're new to the hobby, or you're new discovering certain classes that you maybe didn't know about or weren't interested in, and you're developing an interest in these things, it can be very easy to miss out on actually being able to get that stock available. And don't look back at any old Hattons catalogues, because some of the sale items they had then, you'd be kicking yourself even 12 months ago of items that now you're thinking, well, that would actually be really nice to have one of these. You can't get them, but you could have got them for next to nothing from Hattons. So I actually, after a lot of internet trawling, managed to find a couple at Inside Line Models for about £80, and I went for the green one, which, although it wasn't a livery that ran in service, that's the colour of one of the preserved locos at North York Moors Railways, I think is where it resides. And it's a beautiful looking loco, and it's typical Bachmann paint quality, really striking sort of satin sheen to the paint. It's not maybe got quite the mechanical finesse of a more modern loco, but it certainly runs well enough, and even though tanks might not be particularly exciting, they really are essential for any sort of modelling period round about the sort of BR standard period, and I love this model, and absolutely a bargain. Even within this group that we're looking at today of locomotives under £100, this was the biggest bargain of the lot, which was the Hornby J15 in Kerno Model Rail sale items for £69. Now, for that price, I took a punt on it because, again, it's not a locomotive I would probably have gone for. A small 06, so wasn't really my kind of style. But again, they were a lot of buzz about them, a lot of good reports about them being really fantastic quality locomotives. So it's certainly not as small as the Pekket, but as a tender locomotive, it's still very, very small and very cutesy. And a very similar level of quality in that it's pretty much all metal. So it's an all metal running plate, an all metal chassis, and an all metal boiler as well. And the paintwork over the metal has that sort of magic sheen that you get, and it's just such a beautiful, cutesy little locomotive. Perfect runner. The gearing on it is spot on, because you can run it very, very slowly, and it just seems to roll along at the kind of pace you'd expect a little 60 to run at. And again, in real life, it's maybe not an exciting class. There was lots and lots of very similar looking 060s available, but as a model, it's an absolute stunning little model, and I'm delighted that I bought it. So another one, definitely a bargain. The next purchase then was the Hornby Railroad Tornado Limited Edition. And this was a planned purchase because this livery is the current running livery that Tornado's operating on in the moment on the network, which is the BR green with the lake crest on it. The current railroad model is in the lighter green with the British Railways lettering on it. So this was a limited edition. It pretty much is the standard railroad model, which is actually an extremely good model in its own right. It's a 3-pole motor with a big flywheel on it, very well made, heavy chassis, but this limited edition has got enhanced paintwork and also comes with metal plates on it, metal nameplates. You don't even get that on most of the main range Hornby locos these days. You can see there's bits of it, of the railroad, because there's not any windows in it and there's not any painting in the cab. But for £95, which is what I paid for it, and the fact that it is the correct current livery for Tornado, I've been absolutely delighted with it. It's a really good runner, and it looks fantastic, and it is definitely a bargain. So the fifth purchase then is a Hornby B17, and this is the main range model. It's not the railroad version. And this was on sale in Tony's Trains in Rugby for £99, so it just scrapes in under the £100 mark. Now, I'm not a massive fan of the older looking square cabbed locomotives, but the B17 really is essential for any LNER collection. So it was kind of a half punt. I really got it because it was cheap. But when I opened the box, it's one of these locos that just, wow. The really striking livery on it, the LNER apple green. Beautiful paintwork. The cab's probably one of the most detailed internal painted cabs that I've got. The exterior detailing, the lettering is really, really nice. It's smaller than you think. It's kind of more of a medium tender locomotive, but it's a beautiful runner, beautiful valve gear. It really is a joy to run round the layout, and I've really, really pleased that I bought it. So definitely a punt, because it was cheap, well worth doing that. So again, another one, absolute bargain. I've been delighted with it. So there you have it, 5 beautiful locos, all coming in at under £100, brand new in 2021. Now, a little bit of work involved in that, obviously a lot of internet trawling, a lot of keeping an eye on the retailers, looking for sales and discounted items, and also looking at the reviews of locos as well, to make sure that just because they're cheap doesn't mean to say that they aren't good quality locos that are worth having. And I've been delighted with all 5 models that I've picked up this year in these sales. So thanks again for watching.